Eminem murdered you on your own shit.
Go subscribe, yeah, subscribe.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to Brews and Reviews. It's Knowledge, and today I'm reviewing the GOAT, Nas, King's Disease 2, and I am sipping on an Anthem Golden One. That is a Belgian-style blonde ale coming in at 7% from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Local, the golden one. Let's get into the kid with the golden voice, Nas. I guess that's the man with the golden voice at this point. Nas, no introduction needed. You know it. He's got at least one album in the top 3 albums of all time. He's got arguably 3 or 4 in the top 10. He is a legend in the flesh and still out here making albums. And I can't believe we waited 8 years for a proper follow-up to Life Is Good. Yeah, we got the Lost Tapes 2, and we got the very short Nasir, but Lost Tapes 2 was B-sides, and it felt like B-sides, and Nasir was just incomplete to me. But of course, we got King's Disease 1 last year, and now after that long wait, it's just less than 1 year later that we're getting King's Disease 2, Nas is blessing us. This one, like the first entry, was produced entirely by Hit Boy, which is good, I think. Although there are some other producers out there that we'd like to hear whole albums with Nas. Primo in particular, there's always a lot more chemistry with that collaboration, in my opinion. Nevertheless, there is chemistry with Hit Boy, and let's see if they can capitalize on that with KD2. The Pressure kicks it off. It's a nice beat, breathy and atmospheric, perfect for an intro. But unlike a lot of intros in this style, we actually have drums. And I love Nas's line on the chorus. He says, "The pressure weigh a ton, it's getting too heavy. Had to inspire them again like I didn't already." That maybe sums up the way that he's felt since he was 19 years old. The pressure on him, and despite dropping classics like Illmatic, It Was Written, Stillmatic, he is continuing to do it, and the fans are greedy. They expect that same level of artistry again and again and again. His back catalog isn't enough. That would be a lot of pressure to consistently have to perform and be compared to the best moments in your career. There's a subtle beat change at the end. Hit Boy did that on the original King's Disease and will utilize it very well throughout this project also. Death Row East is one of the highlights to me. We've got another good beat from Hit Boy. There's some record scratches for the nostalgia 90s effect. Although, given the content of this, I would have liked to hear a Death Row type beat, or at least something in a 90s East Coast style. But lyrically, man, we needed this song. Nas addresses the beef with Tupac, as he's done often in his songs, as well as the East Coast, West Coast beef, and actually talking about how they were forming Death Row East and they were trying to squash all of that. The whole Death Row saga, as well as the East Coast, West Coast beef, is one of the most interesting stories in hip-hop history to me. If you're a youngin' in the game, read up on that. I lived through it as a hip-hop fan in Oklahoma, and I was even choosing sides back then. It was completely silly and ignorant, but I was a teenager, what can I say? So this is a different angle on a topic that Nas has addressed a lot, but he's always talked about squashing the beef or intending to squash the beef with Pac. However, Pac still seemed like he was beefing with Nas till the very end. Nas, as the only survivor in that situation, has reconciled it to great effect, and he did the right thing and squashed it the minute Pac died. I got chills with the clip of Ed Lover at the Nas concert, revealing to the audience that Pac had just died. 40 side, we got Future featured on some ad-libs here, and Nas isn't really saying a whole lot new over another good Hit Boy beat, but he does address that they finally gave him a Grammy. He did just win for King's Disease of all things, which actually shows you how out of touch the Grammys have always been in Nas's long storied career since 1994. He didn't win for any of those other classics until we got the award for an album that wasn't even the best of the year last year. EPMD 2, we've got the long-awaited collaboration between Nas and Eminem, and some people are saying that the line from Ether, where Nas is talking about Jay-Z, and he says, Eminem murdered you on your own shit, the track Renegade, and I agree with Nas's assessment on Ether. I don't necessarily agree with that here, but some people are saying Eminem murdered him. With all that though, what people are ignoring is that Nas actually got EPMD together on this track, and make no mistake, they are a group that's arguably more influential than Nas or Eminem. And as far as Nas getting washed, it's a no from me. He's got his effortless, illmatic flow on, proving that he can still do it. M also has a great verse, but they kind of set this track up to showcase him. Nas let him go last out of respect. He also let him flow through the beat switches to accentuate his varied flow as the beat changes up. And that's just Nas showing respect to his guest and giving the fans what they've been waiting to hear in this collab. It's not him getting washed. In fact, it's the opposite. Eminem, in turn, pays respect to the title artist, referencing their great track, You Gots to Chill. And if you're not a fan of 80s hip hop or you haven't heard much of it, check out EPMD, You Gots to Chill, a definite classic from the era. Let me know what you think in the comments. Did Eminem murder Nas on his own shit? Let me know. YKTV stands for You Know the Vibes, and Nas is shoehorning a little bit from the new generation that doesn't quite fit his style. He's got a Boogie with the Hoodie on here, who I'm not a particular fan of, much like he did with Lil Durk on the original King's Disease. YG, however, does sound a little more at home on the album and comes through with his verse, in my opinion. Store Run, nice sample chopped up on this one. It reminds me a little bit of the beat, or the sample at least, for International Players' Anthem for some reason, but the track is saying memories, and for sure Nas is reminiscing on this one. He says, stood on stages most never can, pyrotechnics and leather pants shifting the culture. Mention me with Mick Jagger and Bono like you're supposed to. I'm standing next to rookies, somehow they're looking older. And at the end, Nas is also bringing awareness to stopping the hate and violence against Asians. He says, people battered down, Asian hate getting passed around. Tiger happy, both his parents' lives matter now. This is the most conscious track so far, and I like that we still get conscious Nas in 2021. Moments is another standout, I think, and Nas is getting even more introspective and reflective here. He says, I never met Muhammad Ali, wish I did. My brother saw him, champ told him nothing is real. Gave me the chills, thought about it, that's how I feel. We on autopilot, no captain behind the wheel. And speaking of moments, he references a moment that just about every real hip-hop fan has had. He says, moments you can't relive, like your first time bugging from something that Nas said. Man, that line resonates with me so much, because I remember being a young teenager listening to Nas, and that first time that I really heard Illmatic and just bugging off of everything that he was saying. And I think my first reaction was probably when he said, rappers be monkey flipping off the funky rhythm I be kicking. I just marveled at his rhyme scheme on that. Nobody, another highly anticipated track because Nas brought Lauryn Hill out of hiding to try to recapture their magic that they had on the great If I Ruled the World. And I gotta be honest, when I saw the track list of this, I did not get my hopes up. In fact, I thought for sure that this was either gonna be a sample or just her doing some ad-libs or possibly a very light chorus. I did not think that we would actually get rhyming Lauryn Hill on this, but she's spitting. It's not even Lauryn Hill, it's L Boogie, and she sounds just as good as she did flow-wise on the score after all this time being out of practice. More on that in a minute, but first I want to say that I like Nas's sentiment on this too. He wants someplace to be nobody. In other words, he wants to be anonymous just to enjoy life like a normal person. And in a way, that's really what Lauryn Hill did, retreating from the limelight, in some part trying to live life like a normal person after having so much success. And Chappelle, who's also referenced on this track, did kind of the same thing at the height of the Chappelle show. And I love how the beat slows down and the drums drop out to build the anticipation for Lauryn's verse. Nas did her right with that, setting it up well. Lyrically, it feels like she's had some stuff pent up to say for a while. She says, I don't do the shit you do for popularity. They clearly didn't understand when I said I get out, apparently. My awareness like Keanu in The Matrix. I'm saving souls and y'all complaining about my lateness. Now it's illegal for someone to walk in greatness. They want the same but they don't take risks. Now the world will get to see its own reflection, and the anointed can pursue their own direction. That's 2021 Lauryn Hill, y'all. No Phony Love, the obligatory generic love song that Nas has been making of late and including on his most recent projects. And I don't dislike love songs. In fact, I love hip-hop love songs when they're done really well, but Nas's have just been so generic that they're not resonating with me. This, to me, is the only real misstep of the album. Surprisingly, though, I do like the next track, Brunch on Sunday, which is also a little light, but I like what he's saying here, and the way that Nas describes things is as sharp as ever, and it puts you in this kind of peaceful, happy situation of being in the sun, eating crab cakes, bottomless Bellinis. I mean, he makes it sound great. I want to be there. Count me in. We got a nice bass line on this, and Nas is coming through with the 90s flow for a bit of a throwback track. Composure, Hit Boy kicks it off with a verse. Lyrically adequate for sure, but the flow is just not quite there. In fact, let's not encourage him to do this. He should just stay behind the boards and protect his craft there. Nas is again reminiscing on his life, which was also so much of the theme of the original KD. And here he's telling us a story about his parents that he hasn't told us before. He says, for me, see, my parents met inside a nightclub. Olu started to fight and my mom's broke it up. And interesting that he mentions his dad here, the famous jazz musician Oludara, who played on Life's a Bitch. And at the end of this, we got some horns, and I'm kind of wondering if that's not him. It's not credited as far as I can tell. My Bible, we got some jewels on this, and Nas is giving a little advice as one of our senior members in hip hop. He says, too many mamas laying flowers at they graves. Don't rap about death, it's power in what you say. Of course, this immediately makes me think about Tupac and how a lot of people say he predicted his own death, but really Nas is saying when you're focused on that, does it actually bring it on yourself or be a self-fulfilling prophecy? To add to the titles with Nas in the name, Nas is something, Nas is coming, Nas is like, Nas is good is what we have here. There's another soul sample chopped up on this, and Hit Boy does get monotonous at times with a bit of a monolithic style, in my opinion, but he did vary it up on this project. Nas still on point lyrically, talking about the whitewashing of history like he's done in the past on tracks like I Can. He says, like Rome came into Kemet and they stole the essence. before they watered it down and taught us bogus lessons. Written in stone, write whatever in your history books. Me and ancient Egyptian skin tone had similar looks. King's Disease 2 does not reinvent the wheel. It's not another classic in Nas's catalog, but it is a good, solid album for 2021 Nas. Nobody should be comparing it to Illmatic at this point. We should just appreciate that Nas can still give us albums this good. While the highs aren't quite as high as the highs on the original KD, the lows are definitely not as low either, and that just makes it extremely enjoyable to get through. Some of the standouts are Death Row East, EPMD 2, Rare, and Nobody. Aside from those, it's mostly even all the way through without really standout tracks, but everything sounds good when you're listening to it. For that, I'm gonna give KD 2 an 8 out of a 12 pack. Thank you for watching my review of Nas's King's Disease 2. If you like this, go ahead and hit like now and hit me up in the comments. If you didn't like it, also let me know why in the comments. I drop hip hop and hops related content consistently, so until I see you next time, keep buzzing.
Subscribe. If you on this channel saying that somebody's album is better than mine, unsubscribe to that motherfucker.
No, your album's the best, man.
There you go. Subscribe.
Yeah.
Subscribe.